Welcome to the latest channel update. Got a few different topics for this particular video. A number of questions submitted by Patreon supporters as well as some YouTube members as well. We're going to have a look at all those in just a minute. Another thing I want to do in this video is something I mentioned on the Patreon post, on the YouTube community post I put out there. I want to give you a bit of behind the scenes look, and in this specific case we're going to jump in and take a look at YouTube Studio. And this is where I upload videos to YouTube. Gives me access to all the tools needed to manage the videos, but also there's a nice tab there called Analytics, and this gives me a great insight into how certain videos are performing. So we're going to take a bit of a look at YouTube Analytics, just so you can get a bit of an idea of what that's all about and how, at least in my particular case, it actually works. There's also another thing I'd like to discuss, and I'll address this right towards the end of the video. This is in regards to a potential additional content for supporters, or an additional tier, depending on how it goes and what people think about that. So yeah, if you're interested in that, hang around towards the end, and I've got I want to share the news with you, but also open to suggestions and feedback on what you feel about that. Oh, one other note here, that we've very recently got a new puppy. The puppy is called Poppy, absolutely lovely little thing. Yeah, I instantly fell in love with her right away. So yeah, photo here, just because I thought you'd all like to see that. Quite happy to, share that. Okay then, about to get on with the questions for this video. Before I do that though, just a very quick thank you to everyone for showing support over the years. Very big thank you to all the Patreon supporters and YouTube members, always very, very much appreciated. And if you do want to join up as a YouTube member or a Patreon supporter, do check out the links below. It's always very much appreciated and very much makes this channel possible. Okay, so Kian has 4 separate questions here. First, I've got to ask, what got you into the genre of games you make content, aka what made you want to play Elite, Microsoft Flight Simulator, Star Citizen? Well, this goes right back to the very early days when I first started playing video games. Very much into anything that was exploration based, even on my Spectrum 48K. A little bit later on, I got an Atari ST and later an Amiga, and the trend continued right there. Big favourite games of mine at the time were Frontier Elite 2, and before that actually was Starglider 2. I've still got the box for both of these right here. You can see them on the screen. I actually made some videos on both of these recently. Best space games ever for Frontier Elite 2. I'm going to do one on Starglider 2 I think as well, thinking about it now. Also on the Amiga, a massive favourite title of mine was FA-19 Stealth Fighter. Can't even begin to think of the amount of hours I put into that one. So yeah, space games have been there for a very long time for me, and always been of massive interest. So yeah, as soon as I heard that Elite Dangerous was coming on Star Citizen, I just had to be involved in some way or other, playing them, but also making content, as obviously YouTube was really starting to pick up at the pace back in 2012. So question number 2, I'm not sure if you've already answered it. Do you think Elite is going to die due to their actions? So straight up front, no, I don't think Elite is going to die, not at all. But what I do think is that it's on a very slow burn right now. Frontier themselves have confirmed this. If you look at the recent roadmap, you can see they're producing 3 patches this year, update 12, which is just released, update 13, as well as update 14. Now update 12 and 13 look very small. Update 14 has the potential to be fairly large, but narrative content could be anything. What I'm expecting to see here personally is Thargoid FPS, but it could equally be Thargoid motherships, or perhaps even something not at all related to Thargoids, which would be strange. But yeah, I think that will open up some other avenues for Elite Dangerous, at least for a little while. If we look later on, we've got early 2023, Frontier saying key feature overhaul. Keep in mind that is very much singular there, it's not plural, it's not key features, it's key features. So one aspect of the game that they're going to overhaul. So maybe engineering, maybe combat, I doubt it. Perhaps some people are speculating power play, or even the background simulator. So yeah, who knows at this point? It could be big, it could be substantial, or it just could be something fairly average. The point is though, how many players will a singular key feature overhaul actually accommodate and please? Either way though, my takeaway from this is that Frontier are showing much smaller commitment to Elite Dangerous than they previously have. After all, there's no massive big updates here. There's no big expansions on the way. So whilst I think Elite Dangerous is definitely not going to die, I personally think it's going to be around for a very, very long time, many years to come. I also think that Frontier are not, the next few years at least, not 2022 or 2023, going to be putting out too much in the way of significant content. For me, I'm a little bit disappointed and saddened by that, but also, it's good Frontier have revealed their plans. They've set expectations here accordingly, so no one is going to have unreasonable expectations. We're not going to be expecting massive big content updates because we know they're not coming. And we also know Elite's not dying because Frontier are still working on it. So, there you go. I think that's pretty clear. Frontier have made their plans very, very clear there. The third question, do you think console players should have been offered a refund instead of a free copy to PC? So, very difficult one there. Maybe for players who have only recently purchased the console version of Elite Dangerous, perhaps they could be offered a refund. But overall, it's quite difficult. Online games come to end of life all the time, and generally speaking, the developers don't refund them. So, whilst I totally sympathise with console players, I think this is a really bad move from Frontier, to be perfectly honest. What are they going to do, I guess? Number 4. What's your thoughts on cross-platform progression for games such as Elite Dangerous? So I think cross-platform progression should be there right from the start. It should be a default thing. It shouldn't be something that's an option. It should be something that all developers work towards. That said, there's not that many games out there that do actually have cross-platform progression. From what I remember, it's something that developers Digital Extremes, the creators of Warframe, have been discussing for some years now. Not sure what the current situation is on that, but it's something I would like to see a standard default thing for pretty much any and all online games. If they're available on multiple platforms, then progression should also be available across platforms. Something I'd like to see. How practical and how feasible it actually is, I really don't know, but nonetheless, something I would love to see out there. Moving on to Axon Tier. Hey there mate, glad to see you here, and thank you for the question. So the post is a fairly long one, but basically it all comes down to dealing with negative feedback. How do you deal with exaggerated negative feedback, the kind that borders on insult? So not talking about troll comments here, the obvious, oh you're just a shill, you're just a hater type comments. Yep, I entirely agree, those ones are very easy to ignore. But the other types of comments, as you mean here, you've got some examples. The comments that at first glance seem normal, albeit a bit aggressive, but then hit home deeper than you expect, be it intended this way or not. So, barbed questions that kind of carry an undertone or just are outright dismissive. So, how do I deal with those types of comments? Well, being a YouTube content creator and getting literally hundreds of comments a day, we get these types of comments very, very frequently. And to be perfectly honest, I'm sure every YouTuber out there would be very surprised if every YouTuber hasn't at some point encountered at least one. So they can be problematic and they can certainly hit home. But it really depends on the type of comment. At the end of the day, the one I've found is that when someone's obviously wrong or they're blatantly just attempting to troll you, then those are worth just simply ignoring, as you say yourself. Other ones tend to hit home a little bit more. They're a bit barbed, and the problem there is whether or not you choose to engage. I've made the mistake of engaging with those types of comments over the past and done so relatively recently actually, and really totally advise it's best not to do so. Complete waste of time and just will lead you to be emotionally drained and just completely a waste of time. It's not serving any purpose. So that's the harsh or troll-like comments. But if you're talking about criticism, genuine criticism at that, as you are in the example here, and I'll just read out your two examples. So someone posts a picture, they're proud of the picture, but another person doesn't really like it. We've got two fictitious ants here. In your example, Nice Ant says, "Hey, cool picture, but if you don't mind, I would try and make it less busy. This particular part of the picture drags the attention away from the main subject." Whereas Mean Ant says, "This really isn't that good. I don't know what to say, as even fixing one or two issues won't make a bad picture a good one." So in this case, we're talking about criticism. One is constructive, the other not so much. Now, some people probably will feel you should address the negative criticism just as you might should the constructive criticism. After all, they're both possibly coming from the same place. But then you've really got to think about that. Is Minant in this example even caring what you feel? Do they even want you to make better pictures? Do they even care about your content? Or are they just out to express an opinion? If they're just out to express an opinion, then it doesn't matter what you do. You could go out and fix the issues that they suggest, make a much better picture, and they're still going to be mean the next time around. There's no pleasing them because they simply don't want to be pleased. They just want to be mean. So basically, it comes back to the same point. It's better ignoring them because it's not about you. It's not about your work. It's just about them and their opinion. But that's just one take, and it will certainly depend upon the situation if you feel that that's suitable or not. The other idea, though, with the constructive criticism, as you imply here, that's always worth taking on board because it comes from a different place. The person here clearly wants you to be able to improve and benefit from their experience and their suggestions. Ultimately, it probably comes down to what I'm frequently being told. You just can't please everyone. It's impossible. So, unfortunately, I don't have any special tips or suggestions for you on that particular question. But seeing as a question has come up, maybe some viewers have got some suggestions or ideas on how to deal with it. So if so, do let us know in the comment section below. Moving on to Avon, who's got a question about the photo I posted of my new studio. One question, noticed an Xbox controller. Have you got played with the new Steam Deck? And if so, what are your thoughts on playing it? So no, I haven't yet had a chance to try the Steam Deck out, but it's definitely something that I really want to try. So as soon as I get my hands on one, I'll let you know. The other question, are those books in the top right hand corner? Yes, they are books. They're all Warhammer books, mostly codex and other such books like that, lore related stuff, and some old editions of the rule sets as well. That may be something to have a look at in a future video if people are interested in that. There's some older editions up there. Some people might like to see that. Okay, so that's all the questions and topics I got this time around. So let's jump in and have a look at a bit of behind the scenes. So this is the YouTube studio. This is where everything happens. It's where I upload videos to. It's where we set the video title, video description, add thumbnails, all the rest of it. It's also where we can see YouTube video analytics. Now the dashboard gives us an overview of the current activity, and then we have the content tab right here. This lists all the videos. You've probably seen this in other videos if you've ever checked this out on other channels. But basically we get a quick overview here. We can see the visibility, the current state of a video, whether it's public, whether monetization is on, whether there's any restrictions there. It gives us a date that the video was uploaded, to give us some view information, the number of comments, and the like-dislike ratio. And this goes all the way back. It includes every single video that I've ever uploaded. So yeah, we get a bit of an overview here, but we can drill down and have a closer look at the analytics and the state of each individual video. So let's take a look at this one right here. This was a recent No Man's Sky video. Posted this shortly after the Leviathan update, so it's all about that. So this is the video analytics. You can see right here that so far this video's made nearly 32,000 views. We can see the grey bar there, that shows typical video performance for the current period or the most recent period. So this video has done fairly well overall, at least in comparison to the other most recent videos. Slightly further down we can see where most of these views have come from, so nearly 50% have come from YouTube recommendations. And this is a case where YouTube is placing the video on the YouTube home screen or the up next. So basically it's not people coming directly to my channel or looking at the video through notifications, but finding it elsewhere. Further down we can see the average percentage of views, so 50% of the video is watched on average in this particular case. Now that does seem pretty low, I totally admit that, but incidentally that does seem to be pretty standard for YouTube content creators. The most successful ones, the really big channels, can sometimes hit 75% or more. A few of mine have got around about that, but generally speaking 50 to 55% is a good target for content creators to aim for. In fact, watch time is perhaps one of the most important metrics. If your watch time is low, that will simply stunt your YouTube channel's growth. So those channels that get a low watch time or a low overview percentage, way lower than 50%, will generally not grow too fast. And here we've got some similar information as well as some additional information, this time presented in a bit more of a graphical format. You can see for this particular video it got 352,000 impressions. That's the amount of times that the thumbnail has been displayed on someone's screen. A 6.4% click-through rate, a bit low for my liking. I much prefer to try and get over 10% where possible. but 6% is not too bad. In fact, this is something I've discussed directly with YouTube in my last visit to Google. The average click-through rate right across YouTube is around about 4%, so if your average click-through rate is above 4%, then you're definitely doing something right. So moving on to the audience tab, this one's also pretty interesting. We can see the number of viewers who came from subscribers. In this case, it was 63%, versus the number of viewers who came from not subscribed, in this case 36%. That can vary dramatically from video to video. Interestingly, it turns out that some of my videos have far more non-subscribed viewers than they do subscribed viewers. So moving on to the analytics tab in general, this gives us analytics for the YouTube channel overall. There's a brand new tab here that YouTube have introduced very recently called Content, and this allows us to see how videos in general are performing. Now, one thing YouTube are emphasizing right here is how long people are watching the intro to videos for. So these videos are above typical intro, the others are below typical intros. So the very fact that YouTube are presenting this information up front shows it's very important to them. They consider it a key metric. And this is why you see such an increase in those rapid-paced video intros where they open up very, very fast and quickly flick between multiple scenes or multiple content. Basically a way of trying to keep people engaged in the content. I don't think it's a brilliant move for YouTube. I think it's one of the reasons YouTube content is changing overall, and it's a bit of a shame to see it happen, but I guess that's just the way it goes. It doesn't mean that people have to follow that path though. I'm certainly not going to do it myself. I really enjoy making the content the way I make it, and hopefully, at least, I think you enjoy that too. So that's a bit of an insight behind the scenes for YouTube Analytics and YouTube Studio. I hope it gives you a bit of an understanding of how things work there. Stats are a very important thing when it comes to YouTube. I don't like playing them too heavily, I don't like relying on them too heavy, but also it's important not to just ignore them. So yeah, a case of finding the right balance. Now onto another subject. This one is what I touched on right at the start. It's something I'm thinking about, providing additional content or new content for supporters. So as I mentioned right at the beginning of the video, this video series right here, the Q&A, is basically for supporters. Supporters can leave their questions and topic suggestions, and we address those in the video. However, the video itself is available to everyone on YouTube to watch. Now, I'm thinking of doing another video in addition to this one, and this will be a monthly vlog style series. So the idea here is to go a little bit deeper into the behind the scenes content. Basically taking you along for the ride and giving you an overview of everything that went on with the YouTube channel for that particular month. So basically the struggles, the successes, and this will be for specific videos, so content related to Elite or Star Citizen, No Man's Sky, Flight Simulator, all the rest of it, but also what's going on with YouTube and how I'm managing things in general. And who knows, maybe some additional stuff going on with life in general as well, depending of course on how much interest there is in that particular side of things. Now this would be an additional tier, like I said. Currently I've only got one tier, both on YouTube and on Patreon. This would be a slightly more expensive tier, so please let me know in the video in the comment section if that's something you'd be interested in. Of course, it's very important to me that all the current and existing supporters don't feel undervalued or underappreciated. As I've said many times before, I really do appreciate your ongoing support. It really does mean the world to me. Without it, honestly, this channel wouldn't exist in the way that it currently does. So for the current £1 tier or $1 tier, all the current rewards would still be there. This is just me thinking out loud about an additional potential new tier. So yeah, do let me know what you think of that in the comment section below. I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to hear your thoughts on that. So that brings us to the end of this video. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys and girls next time.